tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans, producing after-shows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows, interviewing celebrities and showrunners, and bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
What's up, AfterBuzzers? Welcome back to AfterBuzz TV. We are here doing the after show for Pitch Slapped. Get it! Yeah, we're all very excited. We're doing week 2, episode 2, called Will They Stay 2? A lot of 2s in this episode. I'm your host, Marisa Serafini. Joining me, we have a full panel again. Introduce yourselves.
I am Ty Matthews. You can find me on Twitter, on Instagram, at Ty Matthews PMA. Yeah, get it.
Get it.
And I'm Lindsey Miller. You can find me on Instagram, Twitter, occasional awkward periscopes, at Rockin' Mama Life. They're super awkward, guys.
Did you say Yockin' Mama Life?
No, I'm a little sick. Rockin', ROCKIN.
Even though you're sick, you still showed up
You
for
still
the after
showed up.
show.
Yeah.
Just like
They
Maddie,
almost
that's
gave your
like
spot to
Maddie.
Vanessa.
You are a trooper.
What's up, guys? I'm Jeff Graham. Thanks so much for joining us today. You can find me on Twitter at Jeffrey C. Graham and on Instagram at Jeffrey Crane Graham. That's where you find me.
You're just throwing off people.
Crane. I love
throw
how it
off
says
myself
crane.
every time I do that. I have to think for like 20 seconds.
What's
and then I
my
can say
name?
them. I know every time.
All right, Will They Stay 2? Another fun episode. I love how they put so much into each episode. Really quickly, I want to know your quick thoughts of this episode. Ty, we'll start with you.
I think it's like you said. I think everything is sort of chaotic, and it's almost hard to keep up with. But it's like we were talking about a little earlier with such a short season. You know, each episode is a week. I think we see so much of the process, and so it's a lot to take in. But that's what makes it so fun to watch.
Absolutely.
I loved it. I love this show probably more than someone my age should. I
Everyone
really
loves
do.
this
Yeah, I know. And we were talking about it before. What I really love is how well it's shot and how much it proves that reality TV does not need to be trashy to be interesting and exciting. And I love that. And I love how well it's been done. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
Good, clean
agreed.
fun.
Good clean fun,
clean
definitely.
fun.
I feel like it's the kind of show my mom would like.
Right.
Which for Lifetime I think is rare.
Okay.
No offense to Lifetime, if anyone. It's a great network. It's just not necessarily the kind of network
Just
my mom
Jeff's
would like.
mom is not the demographic.
Exactly.
Television for women.
Right,
Is
that's
your mom
true.
not a mom? A woman?
But the show, I love it. This is another fun episode. I think I mentioned this last week, but I feel like the whole show really capitalizes on a high school demographic and just it preserves the innocence of what I think should be preserved for high schoolers and also really captures the spirit and essence of acapella. So great second episode, yeah.
Absolutely, and let's get into it. We'll start with, of course, Stay Tuned and Deke Sharon's group. This is week 2. They have 3 days of rehearsals, and they're just coming off. They're fresh. Not really they didn't win the first episode, but they got their judges' notes from the first competition, and they got actually positive reviews. They said beautiful voices, but no movement, and we do realize from their first performance that was a key factor in their loss. Do you agree with this?
Yeah, I think in terms of criticism, I think that's honestly the best they could have asked for, because that's even really it's just objectively true. They just didn't move. But I think where they really wanted to shine and where they did shine was the quality of their singing. And so I think we talked about it a little last week. I think that's where, Deke kind of intended. He wanted to sort of sacrifice that win to make them better.
Yes.
Yeah, I agree. I think I agreed 100% with the judges' scorecard. I thought they sounded beautiful. Their tone was fantastic, but their movement was non-existent. And, like we talked about last week, that was obviously the point. And I think we'll see, we see in this episode, and I think we'll see in the future, that each episode, it's almost like Deke and Diana are like peeling away layers and building on the skills of the groups. So
Absolutely.
Yeah, sound is the foundation of acapella. Like it is, at the end of the day, you're singing. So I think it's smart. At the end of the day, you can look as good as you want to look, but if you don't sound good, you're not going to have a good performance. So.
And then we had Diana and the Highland Voices as well, coming off of their freshman. And they already have one trophy. But Diana did put the comment on that they should have won by a landslide, but they didn't. And they showed that Stay Tuned was actually really close to winning. And she says she wants to add pressure. Is that necessary to add more pressure to what they already have so far?
I mean, is it necessary? Maybe not. But if it'll result in them running the table like she wants them to, I think obviously that's how diamonds are made.
I think it's needed.
Yeah.
I think that they need the pressure. I don't think they have pressure.
Yeah.
I think they're so used to winning that they don't have that fire, that pressure to grow and to get better and to reach the next level. And I think that Diana sees that and she's like, we need to put on pressure so that they can be the best version of themselves. They're good, but they can be really great.
Right. Yeah, it takes a tough coach to push a great group like that, and we're going to talk about it more, but I know for me personally, I already liked Diana last week, and she's growing on me week by week.
Sure.
Not going to lie. I was a little harsh on Diana last week. I'm sorry, Diana.
In fairness, I think we all were.
But she is growing on me, and in solidarity of all things Diana, I did wear my brightest pink shirt for you.
That.
So
Very, very.
And I think out of the gate they really wanted to establish the sort of the good cop bad cop sort of dynamic between Deke and Diana, and now that we know which roles people are in, so to speak, I think they can kind of dial it back a little bit.
Yeah.
Right.
Because she, on the one hand, she really does want to help them win. On the other hand, at the end of the day, they're still saying go Team Diana.
Right. So Diana does say they only have 3 days to perform as well for their next competition, but they do have home court advantage because they're hosting the competition. There'll be 4 groups, including Stay Tuned as being another competing group. But what did you think of the fact that Stay Tuned got to perform to a different competed against a different group compared to Highland Voices also competed against different groups. They weren't together again. Did you like this?
A lot.
Sure. I think obviously we need to start with the big head-to-head rivalry, and then we kind of need to take the gas off a little, so to speak.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of Stay Tuned, I think that took a little bit of the pressure off as well. I think a win against anyone else isn't quite as big of a win as it would be against Highland Voices. Right. And so I think that'll, come later on. And so I think it helped them a little to sort of focus more.
Yeah, it's just been fun for me personally to see a lot of high school acapella. I feel like high school acapella is a new phenomenon for me because I'm a little older. I didn't really grow up in a time when there was opportunities for high schoolers to sing acapella.
Right.
For those of you guys who don't know who are watching, I did sing acapella in college, and I sang on a cruise ship for a while as a vocalist.
Ooh.
I don't even know if you guys knew that. I was in a
did
quartet.
not know that.
Yeah, I worked on the
Learning
Celebrity
so much
Summit
about you, Jeff.
in a cruise ship quartet. Wait, was that
Jeffrey,
Steve?
fun fact.
Can we make that a soundbite?
I'll give one
Thank you,
fun
James.
fact each show to keep the
There
audience
we go.
interested.
There we go. Peeling back layers.
But what was cool was I've never really seen much high school acapella before, and I've been shocked by the level of performance that I've seen from all these groups, and we're gonna get there when we talk about the competition.
They're so
but
young.
really young, but like really mature voices, and really what surprised me the most, I think, is just like intonation, because a lot of college groups can't tune, and like all of these groups are maintaining the same key they started in, and they're balancing. I've just been really surprised by the level of tone and performance from these high school groups. So to answer your question, long story short, Marissa, yes, I'm glad we're featuring more groups.
Yes.
I like it too because I think it adds a dynamic of almost seeing, reality TV is about seeing through the looking glass and sort of being a fly on the wall, but not only do we get to be the fly on the wall in this process, but we get to see 2 completely different processes for, building a team up and for rehearsing into a performance level. And I think it's really fascinating, from a performance background that I come from, to see just different ways to approach it and seeing how each group, I know that every group I coach differently, and seeing how these 2 different coaches are coaching these 2 different groups so differently is really fascinating, I think.
And absolutely. So Highland Voices, they now have to perform Lips Are Moving by Meghan Trainor, hence our opening song. What do you think of this song for this type of group? Compared to last week's episode, we saw rather be That was a very upbeat performance. I felt it was kind of in the same vein. It was very upbeat, energetic. Sung by another young woman who's very hip and kind of up to date. Now, did you think they went safe with the song?
I think that's a good way to put it. Yeah, I think they're sticking with these high energy, these up tempo ones because they know that's what gets a crowd. That's what get the judges. Yeah,
that's
definitely.
Their sweet spot.
Exactly. And I think it's something especially that has a rap and that has a lot of kind of background harmonies as well. I think that's sort of their wheelhouse. So I think that they're content with sticking with that.
I don't know. I think there's two schools of thought. There's people that think you should make what you're weak at better, and there's people that are like, if you just make what you're really great at really, really great, you'll do better. And I think that this is Diana's wheelhouse, coming from a Broadway background, and we think we really see her skills as a coach shine in terms of like the staging and the performance of this one. And I do think it was a stretch for them. I think that it required them to have a lot more sass and a lot more personality, and I think that's what was missing from them when Diana came in. She was like, these kids are good, but there's meh behind it. And so this performance, while like vocally maybe it was safe for them, I think performance wise it really forced them to draw some fire and some sass and some personality out that they were drastically lacking.
I'm glad you brought up that point. I think Diana really surprised me kind of this week because I was worried that she would just be so fixated on her vision and her plan that she wouldn't really coach and like look at where the weaknesses were and what needed to be fixed. But she proved to me, at least this week, that she actually is a great coach because she did see, I think, where some of those cracks were, even though they were small in Highland's voices, and like push those guys, for example, to really get out of their comfort zone, which we'll talk about. But I was impressed by that.
Yeah, we'll definitely get to Diana and all of that fun stuff. Let's go back to Stay Tuned, their song that they have to perform, Shake It Off by Taylor Swift. Another fun, energetic song sung by a younger woman. What do we think of this song compared to what they sang last week, which is very more slow, more... I shouldn't say melancholy, but it was definitely more somber.
I think that's right. Yeah. I think it's a more kind of solemn number,
more,
and so
subdued.
I think you couldn't get much more different than going from Imogen Heap to Taylor Swift. But I think this is one thing where their numbers really came into play. I think they were going from a week where obviously there wasn't really any choreography, and so with something like Taylor Swift, that's definitely going to be the name of the game. I mean, even just the video of Taylor Swift, by the end of it, it's just this huge mass of humanity. And I think that with 21 people in this one single a cappella group, that their choice kind of reflected that and reflected how well it fit.
Yeah, I think it was smart. I think this song, it's interesting to see and try to analyze what the coaches are doing. And I think, again, what Deke is doing with Stay Tuned is really smart. I feel like last week he pared it down and really focused on their vocal performance, the arrangements, and the simplicity of singing well and singing together. And this week he allowed them to shine. I think this is where they really shine and bring their personalities out and be individuals and express themselves and just put themselves out there for everything they have. And I think we'll start to see him try to refine that a little bit more in the next couple episodes. But I loved that he was like, this is what we're going to do. We're just going to be big or go home, put yourself out there. He had like 25 soloists. It was like, just put everything out there.
Sure.
Yeah, I think the song was certainly a metaphor for their group, too.
Of course, yeah.
Absolutely.
Like, kind of the ragtag, whoever,
Right.
And the song just really encourages, like, be yourself, which I love.
Sure.
Well, also the great thing about Taylor Swift is that she speaks to that generation, the teenagers. And her songs really speaks to I shouldn't say just the female demographic, but just the younger perspective. And then, they even got really personal with Sam. We saw Sam vying
Who
for...
is in the chat room right now. Just
Excellent.
So we know.
Hi, Sam. Thanks for tuning in. Sam, yes, we loved you in this episode. Yes, so it really shined a spotlight on Sam in this episode. She got real and raw and how this song actually affected her. She got personal,
sure.
With her background and what the song means to her. And that was the only showcase of how personal a team got with the song. We didn't get that from Highland Voices. We didn't get
right, exactly. And I think that segment with her, with her coming out and with her family being so strong and so supportive, and so everyone was just it really. we're obviously pulling for Stay Tuned throughout this whole show, but it's great to pull for these individual kids and to know their stories and to know how strong personalities they are, and much less, performers.
Yeah, I might have teared up a little bit.
I think
when
that's
Sam,
gonna,
when Deke approached Sam about the solo, it was just touching. And I think what he said about her being very mature for her age and just like almost way older than she seems. I wrote down the same thing, when we see her with her family and we're seeing her story, I just wrote down brave and honest. And I was just really impressed with someone I don't even know how old she is, but she's in high school and so young.
She did mention that Born This Way came out when she was 12.
Yeah, which made me feel like 75. Thank you, Sam.
I was like, seriously? I never feel old and hearing that.
I mean, I was 15 when it came out, but
I was 13.
We all remember being in our teens listening to Lady Gaga.
14.
I can be on the show. Come on, I look like a high
talking
schooler,
about
right?
Born to be Bad?
what? Born to be Wild?
Born to be Wild.
James is going to know the name.
Amazing.
Oh, man.
But yes, to be more serious, but Sam, yes, she got real in this episode, and that's what I love.
And that's what I love too about just like, I'm gonna obsess about acapella because I sort of bring that voice.
But okay, we love you.
That's like what acapella should do. And like, I sometimes think if there was a high school acapella group when I was in high school, I would have been my perfect niche. And I was in choir and stuff, and I ran cross country too, which was also a bunch of nerds. But
yeah, we talked about that.
Yeah. But I think like I just love how like it's the singing that unifies the group, so it like does not matter at all who you are because it's about what you do. And I just think like, it's just cool. It really is like that group is a bunch of different types of people and they just support each other through and through.
Yeah.
Which is fun to see.
If only there was a show where people came together and sang a cappella from all different walks of life in their high school.
Right?
Is there?
Let's work on that, shall we?
I totally kidding.
That's a new show pitch.
I think it's called Glee.
Yeah.
Sure.
For quite some time.
Oh, I miss Glee. But what do you think of Deke during this, giving Sam, who hasn't had a solo ever on this group, giving her the opportunity to work on it first, and then later having her have the say if she really wanted it or not?
I think Deke is sort of like the mad scientist of acapella, I think. And I think each week we're going to see him take new risks and go out on new limbs. If last week it was, the lack of movement and the lack of choreography, this week it was stepping out and giving one of the 6 solos to someone that had never had a solo. And he acknowledged how troublesome that could be. But I think it did what it intended. I think it really brought Sam out of his shell. And I think that's what the song did for everyone this week. Yeah. If last week was about building their confidence and making them realize that they really were good singers, this week is about them shaking it off and just being themselves and being fun.
Yeah.
I think it speaks volumes about Deke as a person and as a coach that he went to her first. I think a lot of coaches think, oh, I'm going to give him a shot, I'm going to give him a solo, and I'm sure from years of experience he knows that can end really poorly and just shatter somebody who otherwise could have had a really successful go of it. And so I think it was smart for him to go to her and acknowledge, this girl has spent her life trying to shake it off, literally, and has sort of, she has so much personality and so much voice and so much wisdom and has been made feel really small. And he's giving her this opportunity to really say, I think you can do it. I want you to go and work on it and show me that you can do it. To see how she handled that situation with just him before putting her in front of all of her peers in a situation where he's going to be like, oh yeah, Sam's the 6th soloist, and she goes in rehearsal and she's so insecure and scared that she can't shine. And so I think it really gave her the confidence and the compassion and the faith that somebody else thinks she can do it to go home and work for it and come back and to take that solo with confidence. And I thought she was amazing.
She slayed.
Oh, for
She
sure.
sounded
Amazing.
great. I was so happy that she sounded good.
I hope we see her do more solos because she was great.
She's got kind of a woody voice. It's
I
kind of
like
like
her
a little,
voice.
it's
Her
nice.
voice is textured, and
Right.
I really
Yeah,
enjoy
It's
definitely.
it.
strong
cool
too.
tone.
Very
Yeah.
Yeah.
They all were great soloists. I really thought that was a great choice for Deke to split it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we'll see Sam do a ballad.
Yeah, I'd love to see
Ooh,
that.
I'd love to see that.
To be honest, she has kind of a tenory voice. I would love to see her sing like a high.
I'd say more
sing.
alto.
Yeah, maybe a contralto, kind of a lower
Yeah.
alto. I would love to see her sing like a guy's ballad and see how she does. like maybe a Sam Smith or something, a really high singing guy.
Yeah.
Sure.
Right. So we saw in episode 1 where Deke showed all the basics, and then I love his teaching methods and whatnot. This episode, he went in vocal percussions, just like the basic sound effects that people can do, teas and snares. I was like, dude, we can all do that. We could do our own acapella group right now.
Yeah.
Let's not. We'll practice that after.
Yeah.
Can you give me a shaker?
I did used to beatbox. Though,
I can do this
There
one.
you
Say
go.
what?
Yeah, pop.
That was a
There we
bonus
go.
fact.
Oh yeah.
I did
And
that
they
in
did
dance
say
once.
popping is one of the best songs.
Yeah.
There you go. What do we think of this and how just, Deke's teaching methods for this one?
I think it's interesting that we saw on both sides of the spectrum. We saw both teams kind of introducing new elements between the vocal percussion on Deke's side and then the rapping on Diana's side. And so I think it's interesting throwing those new things into the mix and seeing how these kids react to them. And we got to see a lot of new faces this week as well. We got to see Winnie talking about the popping as part of the vocal percussion.
Winnie.
Yeah.
Winnie
Yeah.
is the one who got to do that thing.
Oh
She
yeah,
did
that's fun.
yeah,
That was a fun
yeah.
little-
It's really fun to do, Winnie. I
It was
agree.
great.
Yes.
It was great. It's fun to do.
Yes.
But yeah, and so it's interesting seeing these new elements thrown in and seeing on the other side of things, seeing how Maddie reacted to being given the rap and the solo in Lips Are Moving as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what? Let's go to Highland Voices and their performance. As we know in the first episode, because, we're going to go back and forth between all these episodes as well, because there's only been 2 so far. But Diana, she likes to have them actually work for their performances. And she had all the girls solo audition for this. Do you like this now that she kind of opened it to, it is a small group, but she opened it to a equal level playing field?
Loved it.
Yes.
My acapella group actually used to force each of us to audition for the solo.
Really?
Yeah, which I really like, because usually the people that wanted it most would get it, but it would push everyone to be better, and you never know whose voice is going to sound good on a song.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which
And I
is
think
true.
we saw that last week with the audition
Vanessa.
with Vanessa. It was clearly her voice shined on that song, and we see it this week that wasn't necessarily the case, and it's nice.
And I think I think there's a lot of times that you'd get personalities that are strong performers, but they might not be as outgoing as it takes to really put themselves out there on an audition for a solo. And we saw amazing things from Vanessa and from Maddie and from Mariella as well.
Who I think we'll see more of. I thought she had really cool tone, and I think there will be a song that she's gonna just be able to offer something the other two
tuned to
can't.
Highland Voices?
She was Highland Voices.
Voices,
Okay,
yeah.
cool.
There you go. For the one line she sang that we heard
It
tonight,
was,
I was
I
like,
thought it was great.
I want to hear more of that.
Fantastic, yeah.
All right. What do we think of Maddie? Now she brought swagger.
Yeah, she's great.
Which is
I
what
love
Diana was
Maddie.
like.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think we saw more evolution. Just in the 2 episodes from Diana as a coach, by realizing that the song was completely wrong for Vanessa. That Vanessa is a phenomenal performer, obviously, but at least that part, the rap and the solo, just wasn't for her.
And props to her for kind of knowing that. I feel like she really took the defeat graciously, and she really championed Maddie when she got it, and even expressed nerves when she found out. I feel like from the personality that was presented to us in the first episode, I kind of wondered if Vanessa was going to be excited that she now had the chance to maybe.
It's mine now.
Yeah.
And I wondered that a little when she was like, I
know.
I would only have 5 hours, but in the back of her head, I was like,
I wondered it a bit too, but there seemed to be an authenticity to when she was saying she knew that Maddie was right for the solo, which I was impressed by, especially as an aspiring Broadway singer. So good for you, Vanessa.
Maddie killed it. I don't know. I think she just has sass and personality, and this song was just perfect for her.
Yeah.
I think it was perfect.
She was sick.
Yeah, and I think the great thing with Maddie is that she, the great thing with Maddie is that she goes into it not with an attitude, but it's just more someone who genuinely just wants to perform.
Yeah.
She doesn't have. It's not mean-spirited. It's something that's just generally comforting to her. I like how she has that approach to that. What do you think of her and her no-show? She's being sick.
She was sick.
I get you're sick, but also it is very. She's young, but it is very super unprofessional, and just telling your friend that you're sick, but not telling the person who actually matters.
That's true.
That you're sick. You
Yeah.
tell Diana, your coach, hey, I am under the weather. I may or may not show up to tonight's.
Putting poor Philip on the
rehearsal.
spot to be the messenger.
Yeah. I mean, that was very warranted of Diana to have a freak out.
Sure.
She did okay though.
I mean, it's also TV, so
It is TV.
Right.
we don't know if
Right.
somebody was like, pretend like you don't know
Right.
she's coming.
Wait an hour.
That is true. That is true.
Stay in the hallway.
There are variables we don't know, but what we do know is that she did end up showing up eventually, on her own.
Cough and fever. Girls,
I was
take some
impressed.
ibuprofen.
I thought Diana was gonna like really lay the hammer down and be like sick, and we were gonna see a bit of the Diana regime.
Yeah.
But she.
I think we
did-
may see some of that later on. in
Oh,
the
I'm looking
season.
forward to it. If you're watching Diana, you said you might be. We hope to see the Diana regime really. You
Yes.
throw down the hammer.
Honestly,
later.
I think it's going to come down to her versus Andrew one-on-one at
Oh,
some
it's going to be
point.
so good.
for sure.
And it's
We
gonna
didn't
be
really get Andrew in tonight's
I
episode.
know.
No.
Not much
Scorched
Andrew.
earth. Yeah.
But I would just say, if you're sick, you should stay home for at least 48 hours after a flu, or you're so contagious. I'm just saying.
Rockin' Mama life.
Just saying.
She doesn't
Rock
wanna
your
put the rest of
life.
the Highland
It's
Voices
flu
at risk.
season. Don't be a hero.
True, but in fairness, after 48 hours, the competition would have been over. with.
Yeah.
Well, now
Episode 3,
she competed,
everyone gets
and
sick.
they're
See,
all sick
I'm-
for next
Is that why
week.
Geeks
I'm like
in
the
hospital?
worst example because I will still go in if I have strep. Be
Yeah.
like,
Right,
work's
right.
got to
No,
get done. Someone's
that's
got to do it.
terrible.
I know,
Then
I'm terrible.
everybody's sick.
I am an HMO nightmare.
No.
But
We're the
whatever.
reason people die from the flu.
HMO.
I wanted to
stands for
save
what?
this for predictions, but I totally think that there's going to be an episode where like someone gets strep throat and like it passes through everybody.
I know.
And, like,
Maybe that's why
Everyone
Epidemic
gets
episode.
sick.
We did see Deacon in
Like-
the hospital.
Yeah.
Oh, that is
Maybe
true.
we sent Maddie to
And
cough
Maybe-
who?
water.
World Health
Espionage.
Organization would also be behind, like, after me.
Oh,
So
if they show up in
it's not
episode
about
7.
me.
Yeah.
But okay, so Maddie did show up.
She
Fortunately,
made it.
Vanessa almost got her spot, but we also saw that Vanessa didn't really ideally
Mm-hmm.
want it. She wanted Maddie to be there. It seemed like Maddie wasn't even really that sick.
I know what she
I was wondering
means.
about
She
that.
It was
looked
hard.
terrible.
It was
I mean,
hard.
not no
It
offense,
was hard
Maddie.
to tell.
I thought she looked like she did not feel well.
Yeah, I hear you.
It was hard to tell, honestly.
No, it
She
looked like she
sounded-
did not feel well.
Maddie is the kind of girl that would have pulled through no matter what, but I have to agree with Marissa a little
You
bit.
guys are
Like,
horrible.
how sick were you?
Girl was
Come on,
sick. She
man.
had a fever
She had a cough.
and a cough. We
Fevers
didn't
break
hear it
within
all,
24 hours.
But
We never know. You know what? How do we know? I trust you, Maddie.
I don't know.
you're
I mean-
Guys, tweet us if you're on Highlands Voices. Was Maddie really
Was
sick?
Maddie really
She
sick?
really
Or what
sick.
do you
Can we
think
get
of
a
the chat?
temp reading from the nurse?
Favorite for yes, retweet for no.
Do we have the Highlands Voices nurse on the chat room right now? Do we follow them on Twitter?
Hashtag Maddie's fever.
Trending?
But I do give it to
Getting
Maddie
worldwide.
for showing up and being a trooper and working through it. Because even
Yeah.
Diana did say it's hard to perform under the weather.
And
Girl,
even-
she brought it.
Even
brought
when
it.
even
She
once
brought
she
it.
did show up, there was a little bit of doubt as to if she could power through it. But
She killed.
And she did.
Yeah.
And then, going back to Stay Tuned, they were also having more problems with the rehearsal. They are a big group, but they don't have the best choreography. Sloppy, all over the place.
Yeah.
right.
They are very green, as Deke said. What do you think of their messy performance?
Well, the
Messy
rehearsal was
choreography,
messy. I feel like
really.
the rehearsal was messy. We saw
And
it come,
of course, the rehearsal is
Right.
going to be messy.
Yeah, we saw it come together at the end, and the thing I'm most curious to see is like their choreography, or as Diana called it, choreography, which
Quote unquote.
I kind of love
I
that moment.
agree, Diana.
Just drenched in
Because yeah,
snark.
Lindsay, you'll speak better on this than I will, but it wasn't really organized movement. It was like everyone express yourself, which worked
Yeah.
so well.
Right.
But what's gonna happen when they go up against Highland and Highland's doing backflips and Plot of Blue Grays?
No. Deke,
Pot of
you're gonna.
blueberries.
Yeah.
No.
Pot
What
pot
is
of bouret.
Pot of
Pot of
Blue
bouret.
Grays.
Pot of
Pot of bouret.
bouret.
And
Am I
then-
the only one that
Pot of
doesn't know
blueberry.
about it?
I thought it was Plot of Blue Gray, so what's
Pot of
what's
Blue
Pot of
Gray.
Blue Gray?
What is
Pot of bouret.
happening?
Backside, front.
Backside
Yeah.
front.
Oh.
3 steps.
Three
But it's
steps.
gonna be eventually. Stay Tuned is gonna need to like move in the same way, and that's gonna be interesting because I don't even know if Deke's much of a choreographer.
Right,
I
right.
clearly
I
we
feel
have
he's
not
more
seen
technique.
it. So 2 things on that. When Deke was I think he was like, in my honest opinion, it looks terrible. I'm like, then do your job. You haven't choreographed anything.
Yeah.
I think there's this huge misconception. People tend to think that if people can't dance or move, just give them freestyle.
Right.
And what they don't understand, and it's like, I was a professional dancer before I popped out a baby, and freestyle is enough to cripple like the most experienced dancer.
Right.
Like freestyling is the most difficult.
That's the scariest thing.
It's
yeah.
not the easiest. That is the most difficult. So then if you pair no choreography with no skill
Sure.
and no self-confidence, then you get awkward laughing teenagers, which is what Deke got.
Sure.
And I will say he had to have done some form of choreography for
Right.
those kids not to want to cry when they
Right.
stepped on stage. But I mean,
That's a great point. That's like taking someone who's never done any sort of comedy or anything and just going like,
Go
hey,
do stand-up."
go improv an hour.
Right.
yeah,
Right.
just go.
He did try
Be
for
funny.
some choreography, the Aquaville Soul Train.
Yeah.
Which
What
is-
is Acaville? Is that a thing? I wasn't sure if that
I
was
don't
like
know.
a
You
70s
know that
reference.
I think
It's
acapella
overrated.
now
Yeah,
has its
acapella.
own.
Yeah, like
It's
over by
aqua
parts
and
unknown.
all sorts of things.
I
I
wasn't
don't know
sure
about.
if it was like the Ville was a reference to like 70s Soul Train or something, or I don't know.
I don't know.
At first I
Soul
thought
Train's
he-
a cop out.
At first, I thought he said Alphaville. I was like, what?
I
Okay.
just assumed it was
But-
some acapella reference that I was.
I don't
not
know.
The
I heard it.
Cool
Aquaville
enough to
Soul
know.
Train, which is pretty much pairing up and then hit a freestyle move.
Anything you want.
Any-
He's like,
anything.
do
We saw how that
something.
worked.
And I think that
Good.
might be what the title of this episode meant. Will they stay two? Will they stay in two pairs? I don't know.
I don't
I'm
know.
reaching.
That'd be a great episode
I'm
title.
reaching.
I'm gonna quit. No
I don't
offense, Ryan.
It's an
understand
ambiguous
it.
episode.
I think it's playing on when we learned that they always call themselves Stay Second. Will they stay in second place?
Okay, get your writers.
Two.
Gotcha.
That's a good one.
Smart.
Me and numbers, no.
I
Never
wasn't
mix well.
smart enough for that. I
Smart.
was like, that makes no sense, and they spelled
Although
it.
to be
Winner.
fair, it took me forever to get the chock full of notes pun.
What's the pun?
Chock full of nuts.
Chock full
Chock
of
full of
nuts.
nuts.
You
Chock
didn't-
full of nuts?
Like
It's what?
Like candy
It's
bar.
like
It's a candy bar. I
Oh,
think.
You learn something
It's
new every day.
something.
There you go.
No, isn't
The
it
more you
a
know.
it's a coffee shop?
Is it?
Oh.
I think chock full of nuts
I
is
just
a
go to Starbucks.
coffee shop.
Same here.
It's definitely a play on nuts. We can.
It is a coffee shop. They have
Yes,
There we
There we
thank
go,
you.
Jimbo.
East
Thank
Coast
you.
coffee shop. There's
You
one in
know.
They were
Jersey.
on Celebrity Apprentice a couple seasons ago.
Yes,
Ooh.
and they're in Jersey. I knew I remembered that from
You're hired.
Hoboken. Woo woo.
Is it also?
There you go.
Chock
Thank
full of
you,
nuts.
East
But I
Coast.
couldn't be shocked that Deke was like, the Soul Train isn't working. And it's like, you're right. I mean, to Lindsay's point, it's like, okay, none of you can dance, none of you know how to move. Make it up.
Right.
Right.
And I don't know what he would have been expecting.
I know.
Like
Yeah.
to give them a soul train isn't gonna automatically make them able to dance. Like I think he
No.
could have known from the beginning how that was gonna go.
Yeah.
Well,
That would be like taking me and a bunch of other morons off the street and be like, okay, come up with vocal percussion. Just freestyle it.
Right. Can you
Because that would sound good.
can you do an electric
Thank you,
guitar?
Carly.
Yeah.
Carly let us know it is a coffee brand, as did James.
Yes.
There you go. I think
All
Deke's
right.
problem was that he gave a little bit too much freedom for
Right.
their movements. And when you go freestyle, you easily get off a beat. So that, again, that's like a catch-22 in a way for performance-wise.
As a
Sure.
general, real quick, vocal percussion all across the board is really top notch.
Yeah,
Oh,
he
right,
really the vocal percussion on Stay Tuned was like
If the beatboxers
huge
are watching,
improvement.
nice job. All
And
four
I
groups.
think, I think once we get into predictions, we'll talk about it a little more. But
Yeah.
we saw in the coming up, we saw a little bit of Blue wanting to break out of his role as a beatboxer.
Yes, can't wait.
Yes.
And so that's obviously his
my boy,
wheelhouse.
Blue.
Is he on the same team as Decon? Wouldn't you like to
No,
see a
they're on-
Decon Blue like
Yes.
ballad off?
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
Beat off.
Yeah.
We might
A
see
ballad
that.
off. I want to
A
see them
ballad
sing
off.
Right.
Sing off.
with
That-
a beatbox breakdown.
Sure.
Hey, we might get that in future episodes. We'll
I think
see.
we will.
So before we move on, I just want to quickly take this moment to thank you everyone who listened, tuned into this brand new show. We're really excited to
Thank
talk
you
about it.
guys.
We're still talking
we
about
love
it.
our fans.
We had
Yeah.
we had a fun
Yeah.
first episode, and a lot of people actually tuned in.
Yeah, and
We
a
had-
fun week on Twitter.
That we did.
Phil sent us the bacon.
The Bacon
Yes,
Bay
thanks,
shirt.
Phil.
Bacon, sure. Thank you, Phil,
Yes.
for tuning in. Yeah, we
Yep.
love talking about the show. We love talking with you. Please keep talking to us. We are on Twitter. I'm at Serafini TV.
I'm at Ty Matthews PMA.
I'm at Rockin' Mama Life.
I'm at Jeffrey C. Graham.
Awesome. And then, go onto iTunes, rate, comment, subscribe there. Leave us a review. We want to know what you think about the show. And everything's for free on iTunes. Subscribe, leave a note, and maybe we'll read them out on the show. If you do that, say
Yeah.
that. And then you can also tune in live to YouTube, where we are live every single week while we do the show, Tuesdays, 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And let us know what you think there. and
chat with us
get
live.
Yeah, we do have a question targeted for Lindsay.
Oh,
Samantha Joy asks, can we talk about Diana's necklaces? Because I'm still struggling with it.
I know. I'm still struggling too. I mean, the hearts
She
and the
likes the
glitter
bling.
and
She
the
said it
glitter.
herself.
ironic.
At least she acknowledges it.
I know.
So at least she called herself out. She was like, I like the bling. And so
I think she knows that Highland needs more heart, like stay tuned, so she wears them around her neck every day.
I think admitting it is the first step,
Deke needs
Diana.
more
Compensation.
choreography necklace is what Deke needs to wear.
Isn't that what they say? Like admitting it is like the first part.
Sure.
Like
Yeah.
fixing your
Sure.
problem.
Fixing
So
your problem.
she's admitting it. Maybe we'll start to see
I
some
think-
normal jewelry
I think we'll
choices.
see the sunglasses on top of her head get bigger and bigger
Yes.
each week as
She's
well.
in Jersey. It's like super cloudy there all the time. Like I don't get.
So
I
she's
don't
got to
get
be
it.
super reflective, you know?
Yeah.
There you go.
Exactly.
One of the many questions we will answer if you tune in live. So join in on the live chat on YouTube. It's really fun. Have fun with us. All right, let's get on to the competition part. Fun part of, we get everybody's
fun.
performances. Let's start with Stay Tuned. Verse Chock full of Notes. Chock full of Notes song Stay With Me, which is a very strong
Love
ballad
that
by
song.
Sam Smith. Amazing.
Yeah,
What did we think of Chock full of Notes performance?
really
Intimidating?
I think that's a good
Strong.
word for it,
Yeah.
for sure. It's such a heavy song, and I think those soloists were so good at it that
Yeah.
I think that sort of distracted from the fact that there wasn't obviously a whole lot of choreography there
right.
either.
Or good arrangement.
Right.
Yeah.
What do
I
you think?
think it was it sounded great. It looked like a really strong rehearsal to me. Just, it's the details. Like they're wearing their matching t-shirts, which is cute, but maybe for like
Not flashy?
wearing to school the day of your competition to like show camaraderie, but then wear something like dress up a little, like act like it's a competition, a
Right.
performance. Like to me, it just felt a little bit like, we're just gonna show up and sing real good.
And not only that, but Sam keeping it 100, saying that the chords, while great, a little bit easy,
Yeah.
and she knew that they would tug at the audience's heartstrings rather than the judges' pencils.
That was awesome.
And I think that was like, damn,
great
she's
lines.
being
Sam
straight
knows
up.
her stuff.
Absolutely.
It's true.
Ain't
I
gonna
will
fool her.
say, amazing vocalists. Great, strong backup, but a really easy arrangement. And it's funny because a cappella, the key to a really strong arrangement is just making small choices that really push the arrangement and surprise you. Like we saw, I forget if it was Highlands or Stay Tuned, but they did one of those things where you like...
Sure.
Those are the things that really push an arrangement and impress judges. And unfortunately, Chock full of Notes' arrangement was kind of a straight transcription of the original song.
Right.
Yeah.
And they didn't move. So, like, that's... If Chock Full Voice is watching right now, excellent group. Would love to see you guys shake it up with the arrangements and choreography a little more, because you guys are a really strong group.
I love the voices. I put in my notes, especially I love the girl's voice.
I mean, really,
of that,
it reminded me a lot of Stay Tuned's performance of Hide and Seek last week. It
Yeah.
was obviously the quality was there, the voices were there.
The
There just
talent
wasn't
is
a whole
there.
lot else
Yeah.
to it.
Yeah, I don't want to sound nitpicky with this performance because it is the opposing teams, but you said, the no movement, and then also the blocking was kind of off-putting because
Right.
between the male and the female leads, we had this tall guy smack dab in the middle. I was focusing on him compared to the voices of the
Right.
actual
I couldn't figure out
singers.
where he was looking. Like
Right.
it was confusing a little bit and how it was blocked because he's looking over here at this group and singing, and I'm like, is he gonna sing to somebody? It's
Right.
like who is
Yeah.
he singing to? And then eventually she turns around and they come and you're like, oh, he's singing to her. Like that makes sense. But at the beginning, it didn't make sense. The staging, I agree.
The blocking and staging was off and whatnot, but overall I did enjoy the voices. Let's get to actual Stay Tuned's performance, and they had nice, fun colored jackets and whatnot.
Yeah, right?
And
I loved their costumes.
What do we think of their performance?
I mean, I think, like I said earlier, this song was really one of the better choices for a group their size. You know, the fact that it did, like I said, it did resemble the video where it's just a huge, massive group of people
Yeah.
all just kind of dancing in their own ways. And while it might not have been the most polished choice, I think it really did what it needed to do in terms of energy.
I think it was like controlled chaos minus the controlled part. But that being said, I loved it. I wrote down like it was fun. There was a sense of humor. We see Jack I think, and he
Jack was
Yeah,
hitting so
Jack.
many
He
good
was
lines. I forgot about that.
hysterical. Like
He
he
was
just had
killing it.
Tank top guy
just
for a while.
had
Yeah.
a sense of
Yes.
humor
Yeah.
and just performance level that I think we're gonna see some more from him. I think just his face, his performance, it was cute, it was
I think
fun.
what
He has
I-
a personality.
I think
Yeah.
what I enjoyed from his lines is that you never really knew where they were going.
Yeah.
They were different. They were very
He
different. They
had
were very
one-liners.
unique.
He was like a little singing comedian, like ninja. He was like came at you, and you're like, did I just see that?
Singing
That was
comedian
awesome."
ninja.
Singing comedian
Jack,
ninja.
make that your
Singing
Twitter bio.
comedian ninja.
ASAP.
There you go, Jeff.
Yeah, they were excellent. It
Yeah.
was a new group. I interrupted you, Lindsay. Were you?
No,
Yeah.
I agree. I was just gonna say they couldn't dance at all, but they owned it.
They
so
couldn't.
that's
Exactly.
all that matters.
Right.
You know what I
They
mean?
owned
Like
it.
if you can't do it, at least like
But at least they
do it
moved.
well.
Right, they
do it with
moved.
They
enthusiasm.
That's why I'm just so curious, though. What are they gonna do when it's like time to dance, guys? Like,
Right.
maybe they never will.
Yeah.
But props to Deke because they stepped it up so much. They sounded great. Great arrangement. That was a really, really excellent arrangement. And yeah, it was a new group this week, and they killed it. I was really proud.
I totally agree. I put they definitely used the staging very
Yeah.
well. They spread out and then they condense and they spread out. They
Yeah.
so they utilized the space. I enjoyed that. I put in my notes. Felt like a Glee.
It did. It felt like an episode of
Like
Glee.
a Glee performance. When they perform on the stage, it was high
Yes.
energy. The clothes reflected that. The movements and whatnot. It was the performance was there, and it really felt
They just
like
have
a
so
Glee
much joy.
episode.
I think, like, you know,
And I
hashtag
love
they have
Glee,
heart.
so.
Like,
It's like we were talking about. That's definitely going to be the recurring.
but I think
I
it
love
really
Glee.
shows you, like, you can have horrible choreography, but if you go out there and you just have fun, like, you can't help but smile when you're watching them perform because they love what they're doing so much that you love it with them, you know? Like,
Right.
and that's why it worked because it was chaos, but it was fun chaos, and they were in it, and they were in the moment, and they were loving it. And also, I just want to say, Mariella, we only saw like one or
Right,
two lines from her,
right.
but I think we're gonna see. I loved her voice.
Oh, she's definitely
Part of
yeah.
it, yeah.
And
Goodness.
I think the energy and the fun of that is what made the contrast so much funner when we saw Bad Cop Diana's comments on the choreography
Sloppy
and the sloppy
crosses.
crosses, just like
It was
Light
sloppy.
air
going
She was
in,
right.
going in
her.
hard.
It was sloppy and it was chaos. And if
Diana.
they
Oh,
had
no,
it,
like
Diana.
Queen of passive aggressive.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right.
Okay, so chock full of notes. Their score for visual was 15. Score for arrangement, vocal arrangement was 23, and vocal performance was 18. Oh no, sorry, I was
12.
looking at the other one.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
12, and
Underscored.
then the vocal was 18. So 15, 12, and 18. And then stay tuned. They got for visual 25, arrangement 23, and vocal 24. So stay tuned. One.
Yeah.
I do think that Chock full of Notes is underscored, though.
That was
I agree.
that I was
agree.
definitely not expecting, especially at
Yeah.
12 for the
I
arrangement.
know. The arrangement was pretty standard, but it wasn't easy, and they
Right.
were balancing. I don't
Sure.
know. I thought that was not good.
I thought the vocal should have been higher. than
Absolutely.
18.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were just
I
underscored.
agree.
As was Rolling Tones, but we'll get there.
Yeah,
Right,
Rolling
right, right.
Tones was
Yeah,
underscored.
we
as
will
well.
definitely get there. But stay tuned. They won, so
Yes.
one of
And
the
rightfully
first,
so.
rightfully so, that they won a fair and square, and they now have that potential to be a winner. They have a trophy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they were
Aw.
better. They deserved
They
it.
were
Yeah,
better.
definitely.
I like it, and you know it's just like when you get that first win, you're like, yes, we can do more.
Yeah.
And I think hopefully we'll see more of that. You know, in their mentality and how they move forward.
Sure,
So-
and it was one of those kind of goosebump-inducing moments when Sam finally hit her
Yeah.
her line, and
Yeah.
you
She
saw
killed it.
how much
She
she
was-
killed it.
she killed it.
Awesome. Honestly, I think when she sang that line, it like brought the group to like from that point on in the performance,
They were
it had
on.
so much life.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
And the fun thing about this song is that there was supposed to be 6 soloists. I always heard Sam.
yeah.
Right,
And
right.
I'm like, okay, this is way more than a solo, but I'm okay with
Right.
that.
Exactly.
I like it. So good on you, Sam. You did awesome.
Yes.
So let's get to Highland's voices and their performance. They were up against the ruling Tunes.
Rolling Tones.
Tones. There we go.
And here's some
Tones.
great
Rolling
creative
Tones.
names. How do you feel about these names?
We were talking about
Where
the
did they
puns.
get Rolling Tones?
Rolling Tones.
I'm just
I
kidding.
can't. Oh my god. I can't.
I was like, is he gonna commit
I
to
know
this?
that the Rolling Phones was one of the best groups of the 90s. So,
Tunes and
guys, I'm not
tones
dumb.
everywhere. Stones and tunes.
Weren't you in high school when they came out?
The Rolling Phones.
Rolling Phones.
Oh, it's the Stones. Okay, I got it.
Right. Rolling Tones. What? Okay, well, let's quickly talk about
Just
Rolling
The
wordplay.
Warblers, right? That's
Yeah.
what they were.
Yeah.
Totally the Warblers.
Dun, dun,
With
dun.
girls.
And
With girls.
And
So
the-
the Warblers after they brought.
but they had the
girls in.
suits
Yeah.
in a syncopated fashion. So what? But we learned from the Rolling Tones that they had like MVPs of.
They were a super group.
Yeah.
They were
a
an
straight up
all-star
super group.
kind of group. Is that fair?
I want to know if they checked like birth certificates on some of these kids because that second soloist looked like he was 25 years old. Like, I'm just saying.
That is true.
They brought these from like different places around New York. I'm wondering if Homeboy was homeschooled for like 75 years. Like,
Wow.
some of those kids did not look like they were in high school.
Speaking of interesting production notes, Sam asked the question, do they pre-record the vocals? Which I wondered because they sounded so good. Carly let us know, no, they record them live, but then bring in the audio in after because they have to shoot from several angles and match it up.
Interesting. Yeah.
I still don't totally understand that, but I'm getting there. Gotcha. It did sound so, the vocals were incredible to the point where I was like, they're moving a lot and really keeping their breath.
Yeah.
But that's just a distraction. We're talking about Rolling Tones.
Yeah.
They slayed.
They sung "Love Runs Out" by One Republic. I love One Republic. That is currently my CD in my car right now.
There you go.
So I was like, yes,
That's a good one.
It's a great song. I enjoyed Rolling Tones. I would like to actually see more of them in the competition.
They sounded great.
Yeah.
I mean,
Definitely.
I think we'll definitely see them in like the elimination rounds. I think they're.
There you go. All right, let's get to Highland Voice's actual performance. What do we think of them and their polka dots and their Meghan trainer?
I think
Did they bring swag? I think that's the real
they brought
question.
so much swag. I think the choreography on this was so impressive, and I mean,
Yes.
really, it looked so crisp and so polished. And Maddie, especially, just really wrecking it on the solo and on the rap and everything. I think they just blew it out of the water.
Yeah. For you, Diana.
Yeah.
That's very.
Yeah.
Diana knows what she's doing.
job.
I think Diana did a great job. I think she really shined as a coach in the way she staged it. I think there was a real Broadway performance element to it. It told a story. It wasn't just cute choreography. It was fun. It allowed them to show personality that we have not seen from them yet. I think the guys were adorable. Philip, kudos
Philip
to you.
is
You
killing it every
carried
week. Love that guy.
You were hysterical and adorable, and I heart you. And Maddie was a rock star. I think from the second she turned around, we saw a different Maddie from who we saw last week. I think we saw a confident Maddie. I think we saw a star in her. I mean, she owned that performance. She took the stage. In my opinion, she and Philip carried that performance. But I thought they were fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, props to Diana. I was worried when she was like testing the guys do their own thing.
Yeah.
But it really played pretty well. Like, she has a Broadway performance intuition that honestly I'm not sure if Deke has, which will be interesting. If this were a competition about arrangement and vocals and like a cappella, I think Deke's got the upper hand. But a cappella's evolved a lot and it's a little more show choir-y than it used to be. Which I don't personally. It's been kind of an interesting trend in acapella that I don't know how I feel about, but we can get that later.
You don't do backflips in your group?
Exactly. But Diana like knows performance and like she really had a strong intuition and made great choices with that group and they paid off.
Well, and
They
I
really
think that's what we talked a little bit about last week. It's these two halves, this yin and yang of acapella that are kind of colliding with each other.
I think the great thing, I mean, Jeff, you mentioned something about performance and that intuitions, that I think what Diana can do, she can get a physical, actual reaction out of an audience, and they can, we saw during the rehearsals for Highland Voices, it was all the guys trying to lip sync and have a fun performance, and then during the actual performance, they only really spindled it down to like one person, and it was Philip, and I'm actually glad that gave it to one guy instead of all four. So I think that was a good creative choice, and that did get a good laugh out of the audience. Whereas I think opposed to that, Deke is better at getting the internal type of reaction from an audience,
Right.
which is harder to judge and convey,
Right.
Yeah.
because it's not as physical, but can still, in the end, still get one of the better performances out of people.
Good point.
Because hashtag they have
So-
heart. They
Yeah.
have heart.
Internal versus external. What do you choose?
Yeah.
Interesting.
I also
It's
think on that same point of bringing Philip forward and the choice by Diana, I think we saw this week what we didn't see last week with the choreography in terms of that, in that it wasn't working with the other guys, and they didn't have, not that they didn't have the personality, but they weren't fully grasping what she wanted from them, but Philip was.
Right.
And I think we saw that in the rehearsal footage, that Philip, you were just watching Philip. And so she made a smart choreography choice. Instead of being these 4 guys lip syncing, which she probably envisioned, she noticed that's not working. I'm going to pull Philip forward, and these will be just like his buddies, like laughing and goofing off with him while he's doing the lip syncing. And it was a really smart choice, and one that was missing last week in the choreography.
Right, and I think all those other guys, they might have some of those inhibitions that that are obviously typical, in high school, and I think Philip just might be a little bit more, prone to coming out of a shell, and so I think that's why we'll really see him shine later on the season.
Well, and I think boys too, in particular, get kind of a tough rap, especially if you're in a group where there's primarily female soloists. These guys are probably used to being in the back. The guys are put in the back because the girls are put in the front because they're shorter and they're cute. And you put the guys in the back to back them up. And so they're probably used to being like hidden behind. And I love the fact that she brought them up front and made them, more of an integral part of the performance there. But I think you are going to get some of those insecurities when you try to pull them forward, and hopefully we'll see her push them more to bring out that performance and see the guys highlighted a little bit more too.
Definitely.
Yeah, I completely agree with you on that. So the overall scores for Rolling Tones, for visual, they got 18. Arrangement, they got 19. And then vocal performance, 22.
Underscored.
I definitely thought so as
Underscored?
well. Yeah.
I think the vocal was underscored.
Perhaps they got penalized because they found out soloist number 2 is 25 years old. Just saying.
No, and that's the thing. Like, I did notice that too. But vocally, I think they outsang.
They sang
Yeah. So, sure.
fantastic.
Or it was really neck and neck. I
I
mean,
mean,
Highlands was great, but Rolling Tones.
Maddie had a very, very strong verse, and she had a key change, which
You're
is
right. You're
really
right.
Change was
hard.
great.
You're right. And,
Yeah.
like,
I mean,
they
Maddie
were
did
tight.
kill it, but for a group, I think vocally they were stronger.
Yeah.
Or they should have been at
Rolling
least
Stones-
rated
What did
higher.
they get? They got a 22.
22
Yeah.
for vocal.
Yeah.
I
The
feel
verse
like
is
they should have
27.
been higher.
Right.
How about the arrangement? I mean, I don't know enough about arrangement. I'm like, this
was
sounded
fine.
good.
Yeah, same here.
But do you think it was like a 19 versus a 27?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I can
Love
speak to
runs
that.
out.
It was
Okay.
neither group had great arrangement, and it's tough because the arrangements were good. The difference is it's like the small choices you make that
Okay.
really push an arrangement further, and like a key change, for
It was
example.
the key change.
Key change.
Right?
Sure.
Honestly, that's
Key
like,
changes are
Now,
big.
what exactly
Yeah.
is it that they're
Notes.
looking for when they judge arrangement?
So yeah, the thing with acapella is like 20 years ago, just the novelty of hearing people sing the song was enough to make the song great. But because acapella has been around for so long, no longer is it enough to just sing the song like you heard it on the radio and imitate the instruments. You actually have to do things to push the song to make it your own, which is like when you hear a pentatonic song, they'll slow it down and make it a ballad, or they'll make choices
Gotcha.
that actually make it their own interpretation of the
Interesting.
song.
Okay.
So, like, both Rolling Tones and Chock full of Notes just kind of replicated the song, which isn't enough anymore to really score high in vocal arrangement.
Which I find interesting because as like not an acapella person, when I listen, I'm like, they just messed up that song, but that's apparently better.
Well,
Right.
it's also it's up to interpretation. I think in a perfect world, you kind of capture the spirit of the song, but still put your own twist on it.
Definitely, because
Gotcha.
I think if you wanted to hear the original, you would just listen to the original.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And, all right, and so Highlands Voices, their scores for visual was 28. Arrangement was 27, and vocal was 27. What do we think of their scores?
I mean, I think it's
High?
I think they deserved it. I think
Yeah.
it was the best score of the competition, obviously, just like Diana wanted.
Highest score,
They got
82
an 82
and
out of 90.
92.
Yeah.
I think I think that's I agreed with that.
And Diana, she said from the get-go in this episode, she wants the highest score.
Right.
Walk away
And
with the highest score.
she was a little
did.
bit shook up, though. She was a little bit
Yeah.
shook up at the fact that the gap between Highland Voices and Stay Tuned wasn't as wide as she would have
closing.
liked.
Yeah.
She called them an annoying little fly.
Yeah.
Love that.
It's so true.
It's just such like an
They
80s
are.
bully, such an 80s bully thing to say.
I love it. She is like an 80s
Like she's gonna
bully.
shove
Like,
Deke in a
love
locker
Diana.
at some point.
Oh, I
Oh, don't take me back to those days.
It'll be like Grease the movie. That's also what she reminds me of. Legally Blonde and or like
a pink lady.
Like a pink lady.
Sure.
Yes.
Totally.
Sure.
Is.
She
Sandra
might-
D. You just got
Perhaps
to this
that's
school.
what her like long lost. Like it's all about Diana. Maybe she was supposed to be in the original Grease and she didn't get
Maybe
that
she
role,
was-
and she's been trying to make up for it ever since.
Ever
She's
since.
such a Rizzo.
You could be my Rizzo.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's a compliment, Diana,
yeah.
if you're watching.
We love you, Diana.
Okay.
Predictions?
So Highland Voices won. Well, yeah, let's get to predictions.
Predictions.
Then.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
All right, I mean, we saw it in some of the previews for next week's episode. Highland Voices, we are now going to be starting to actually focus on the male solos. Maybe have the males actually audition against each other. That
That
should be
time.
fun. What do you think that will do? Philip versus Blue?
Philip versus Blue.
Could be.
That could be
I
interesting.
think we could get a little bit of sort of what they did with Maddie and Vanessa last week, where we've got one person that's really kind of used to getting a lot of the the better parts and the bigger solos, versus someone that's trying to sort of move out from the background. We see that Blue is a great beatboxer, but that he wants more than that. So I think we'll see a great character arc with him.
Yeah.
I hope we see maybe a little bit more of what happened with Sam this week with Blue, and maybe see a more nurturing side of Diana in her really bringing that out of him and giving him that confidence to step forward and be a soloist. And I think it will be really fun to see. I also love that she's doing that, and that both of them are doing that, because I think it's really common with a team in any sort of sport or whatever, whether it's football, and this kid's been the quarterback since whenever, and then you get a new coach that comes in with fresh eyes and sees everybody. And so I love that we're seeing everybody, and I hope to see what Diana sees in Blue next week.
Yeah. Vocal percussion is an interesting one, because even though you're sort of like this fun novelty and people love you for that, you also are stuck on that. And that can be tough in a group. It's like being the center on a football team or like the punter or something, because you get stuck in that role. So I'm excited to see Blue be pushed in that way. It's going to be interesting because it will topple the dynamics of their sound. Because like if he's been VP the whole time, it's really going to throw a wrench into just how they operate mechanically. So I'm excited to see how that plays out.
Yeah.
So do you think if they put Blue as a soloist, we'll see the group falter a little bit vocally?
Yep, I do. We'll see.
Interesting. I mean, it's hard to also just judge and kind of guess and put our hypothesis in there, because we haven't really spent a lot of time with the guys.
Yeah.
Right.
We don't know what
So-
Blue can do.
Yeah, we really don't. Boy Blue. What do we think
Little
of
boy Blue, come blow your horn.
What do we think of Stay Tuned? More battles?
More battles.
Battles?
We'll see.
I
Are we
hope
gonna-
we see Mariella.
Yes.
I hope so too.
Definitely. Well, and I think
Girls gotta sing.
even just from the glimpse that we saw in the coming up, it looked like she was getting a pretty
Yes.
big part. So
But Marielle is part of Highland Voices.
I'm not sure which group.
Yeah.
I think
Wait.
she's a tuner. I think.
yeah, Marielle's in Stay Tuned, I think.
I thought
We got
Mariella was
confused.
in
I
Stay
put Marielle
Tuned.
is in Highland.
We'll see.
We're all confused.
But-
We'll predict which group she's
Oh wait,
in.
no, we do have Mariella. Stay tuned. Wait, no, it was Ashley, I think, that we
Ashley's
saw
in
in Stay Tuned.
Oh, interesting. Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Marielle.
Because
Marielle's
the
in Highland.
soloists for Stay Tuned were Cedric, Jack, Ashley, Amrita,
Okay.
Morgan.
Megan, and Sam.
Yeah.
So it was either Ashley or Megan.
It's a lot of kids. We've only seen 2 episodes.
a lot.
So
It's
many
pretty
kids.
well.
It's 30 kids altogether.
And Stay
really.
Tuned has 21. I mean, we've only gone
yeah,
through like
yeah, yeah, yeah.
1/4 of their roster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we're gonna see obviously great things, and I think it's interesting how with so many people you have to kind of focus on one week and then kind of put them to the background.
Like no
'cause
Nicole this
I was
week.
gonna say, remember Nicole?
Yeah.
Yeah, what happened?
We
Did you
love
move back to
Nicole.
Texas, Nicole?
Already?
That was very sudden.
So, like a
There's no going
brief,
away party.
brief second of her. Now, before we went live tonight on our show, I posed the question to our panel here.
Oh, shoot, I forgot to
Is there a
think about
song, a wish song that
Oh.
you, or a dream song, if you will, that you want or we might see them actually perform? A song that you would love to see both teams perform.
I think for me, for Stay Tuned, for some reason, the second you asked that, the Black Eyed Peas popped in my head.
Amazing.
I don't know. I'm not sure
Yeah,
why.
no, they're awesome.
I don't know why,
Will
but
Ann has it going.
I think Let's Get It Started playing in my head. Maybe
Decon,
Where's the Love? Yeah, there you go. Decon.
I love Where's the Love.
If Decon can be JT in Where's the Love,
Wait, isn't Decon? Which team is Decon on?
he's Stay Tuned.
He's Stay
Okay.
He's for sure Stay Tuned. I know that much.
So confused now.
Decon, we're gonna get some good Decon moments over this season. At least we better.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like when he explains what trap is in that little bumper.
Yeah, I'm like,
That's my favorite. I love that.
is that really trap?
For Highland voices, I don't know. I think I'd like something maybe from the 90s. Maybe
Interesting.
Like maybe I want to see Diana sort of channel something
Yo,
a little bit
I'll tell
older
you
for
what I
them.
want, whatever.
Spice Girls is what popped in
Diana would
my
make my
head.
life complete if you did Spice Girls.
And
you
just-
could also be the redhead Spice Girl, Diana.
Right.
And just to call us out, Jeff and I were listening to 90s all day today.
Absolutely.
So I
Love
think we're
90s.
definitely on board for that.
You know, 90s.
Jeff, what do you think?
Great time.
What's a song you'd like for them?
I would love to see, just for some reason it popped in my head, to see Stay Tuned sing Drops of Jupiter.
Okay.
That'd be really good.
All right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know if they will,
right.
but
Train.
Could
love
be.
that song, yeah.
Sure.
Train. Maybe change it. Definitely work on the arrangement of that
Yeah.
because
Mm-hmm.
I can only hear it in one way.
Yeah.
And I would love for that to change after 20, or not, it's not 20 years, like 10,
Almost.
10 plus years. It's going on 20.
Yeah.
Ooh.
But, oh, that's scary. Yes,
Ah.
we are older than these kids.
I know.
I
13.
put one because I mean I love Sam Smith, but I also love Ed Sheeran,
Yeah, definitely.
and I think
Yes.
"Photograph" would be a great song for them
Sure,
to sing.
sure.
It's
Except
also
wasn't this
it's
taped?
somewhat what
Was this already all taped, or are
Yeah,
they
it's
still?
already-
it was.
been taped.
It is.
We
all
have
taped.
no hope in any of these songs being
Again,
sung.
I preface the question. These are Wish songs.
No, for sure.
We would
Season
love to see
2.
them.
Season 2?
Season 2. Get some.
Or we'll
get some
Skype the
ideas.
group in and
I
they'll
wanna
sing it.
see-
Get it.
There
They're
you
working
go.
now. We'll
There
Skype
you
the
go.
group
There you
and
go.
sing it.
Sam singing an Adele song
Oh,
as the
yes.
soloist, right?
Yes.
Like emotion
Rich
and
Adele
like
song.
her voice.
That's yours.
Hello.
Yeah.
It's a little too early for hello.
I was
No, it's
wondering
early
about
for
that.
hello. I don't know which one.
Go back
what's
to
But
it
maybe,
like-
maybe rolling
Go
in the
back
deep
to
even.
19.
Oh, I
Yeah,
know.
Rolling in the
would be-
Deep or
right?
Chasing Pavement.
Ooh, Chasing Pavements would be good.
Go back to
Can't go wrong
19.
with
Or
it.
maybe
No.
even some Lady Gaga to tie into her
And
backstory with her.
I would love to see Highland's voices just go for it, Diana. Just do Broadway. Something like full on Broadway
Okay.
and make it current and make it work.
Cell Block Tango from Chicago.
Oh,
yes.
yes.
Don't
maybe.
so
So
all that
good.
jazz.
Yes.
Yes, James.
Chicago's my jam.
Yes.
Such a good show.
Chicago's amazing.
I would like to hear Johnny Be Good.
Oh, from who?
Because
Alright.
I think that's like such an upbeat
From
rock
us?
song.
Sure.
It would really be crazy to hear that.
Sure.
Like, a
Maybe
cappella.
and
maybe with
roll.
Philip in the Marty McFly role.
Yeah.
Okay,
A rock
wait.
and roll
I
bad
have a
bass would be good.
question. What would our a cappella group be called?
Oh man.
Let's think
We
about
should
that
have
for
been
next
thinking
week.
about this.
Yes.
Buzzers?
Tweet
That's not
us.
very creative.
No,
Tweet
we
us
got,
what our
we gotta
acapella
get some
group
puns
should
in there,
be.
Jeff.
Something
You know
buzz.
that.
I know. Tell
Some
us what we should be
wordplay.
called. We'll be waiting all week.
Yes.
Yes, we
Tweet
will
us.
ponder this question for next episode.
And whoever has the best name gets called out next episode.
There you go.
I
There you
say
go.
we let them
Let us
vote.
kn-
Oh,
Yes.
perfect. All
Rate,
right.
comment, subscribe below. Let
You
us
heard
know
us.
what our hosting, our name would be.
Yes.
We are our hosting group, but what would our
Hashtag
singing
what's my
group
name?
be? What's our name? There you go. But in the meantime, where can everyone keep talking to you about this show? Jeff.
Guys, thanks so much for tuning in. You can see me on Twitter. You can read me on Twitter.
Sure.
At
You can
Jeffrey
tweet me on
C.
Twitter.
Graham. Tweet, I guess. I'm so bad at technology. Instagram is Jeffrey Crane Graham. Yes.
Yes, true story. He asked us if he took a picture, if it showed up on the Twitter.
I'm really bad. I just do Facebook. I'm so good at Facebook.
We are
I
calling
kill
you
that
out.
one.
Killing
We
it.
love you.
Yeah.
The Facebook. That's what moms do.
Oh, but I'm great. I'm great.
Perfect. You're a really good Facebooker.
Yes.
Facebook you later. I'm Lindsey Miller. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, everywhere on social media at Rockin' Mama Life.
I'm Ty Matthews. You can catch me on Twitter, on Instagram at Ty Matthews PMA.
Excellent. And you can follow me on Twitter at Serafini TV. You can follow all of us here on social media, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, all those fun places, iTunes, YouTube. Check
Everything.
it out.
All over the internet.
Rate, comment, subscribe, leave a review at AfterBuzz TV. Thank you all for listening, and we will see you for our next show.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.